Hi everyone, good evening. Thank you for coming out on such a wonderful evening here in Vancouver, and also welcome to those who will be watching this presentation in the weeks to come. We think we learned a lot of important things in Haiti that Canadians and maybe people in other countries as well could stand to learn from. That's why we're filming tonight's event. So I look forward to maybe hearing some feedback as well from people, of course tonight from you, but also people who will be watching the film in the coming weeks. So I went to Haiti for 10 days. There were 3 of us on the delegation. You see us pictured there. Our guide, Tim Schwartz on the right, Rosina standing in the front, who's a language instructor in Toronto and a member of the Canadian Union of Public Employees. Behind her is Sandra Gessler, who's a professor of nursing at the University of Manitoba. And Amina on the left is a lawyer who's working in Haiti doing very important legal work with the Institute for Justice and Democracy in Haiti. I'll talk about them more in the talk. So we were there for 10 days, and we traveled through the earthquake zone of Haiti, which, if you look on the map there, the Léogâne is the epicenter of the earthquake. Next map, Bill. But it draws a very large circle, which takes in Port-au-Prince that you see over on the right, and then Jacmel down on the south. So we got around there as much as you could, given the difficult traffic conditions in Haiti. We got to Léogâne, we got to Jacmel. We spent most of our time in Port-au-Prince. So in a sense, you could say some things are returning to normal in Haiti. The streets have been cleared of rubble. Traffic can move, although it's terribly congested for reasons that are particular to the earthquake. People are getting involved in rebuilding their homes. And you see evidence of this through the city. One shot here. This is a build change project that's going on in an area of Port-au-Prince as well. So the activity is happening, but it's small scale. It's not at all on the scale of what's required today in Haiti. There's economic activity that's coming back to life. I mean, this is the most active part of the economy in Haiti, which is not the best, which is street selling, but you see the activity going on throughout the city. But the job of aid and reconstruction in Haiti is really immense. You've got a city made out of concrete, and much of that's been shattered by the earthquake, and so it's a huge task that Haiti has now in front of it, even to rebuild to where things were before the earthquake, leave alone the long-term job of developing the economy as it should be. And of course the international community, people and countries like those of us here in Canada have a big responsibility to assist Haitians in this. But it's an immense job, and everywhere you go throughout the city and throughout the earthquake zone, you see the immensity of what lies ahead for the Haitian people and for their international allies. And you get some glimpse of just how destructive the earthquake could be when you look at these kinds of housing areas in Port-au-Prince. Much of the city is in very hilly or mountainous territory. These are concrete buildings not built with the best of codes, and as you know, there was tremendous destruction from the earthquake, and it's painful to go around the city and see this, see the task of what's required to be done today, but also just how difficult and terrible those moments were during and following the earthquake. And when it rains in Haiti, conditions in the streets and in the neighborhoods and in the houses are difficult, as this slide shows. Again, a typical scene that you'll see in a lot of the neighborhoods that were hit hardest by the earthquake. Buildings have taken quite a hit from the earthquake. Life is tough at the best of times in Haiti. It's not an economy like we enjoy here. 70%, 80% of Haitians were unemployed prior to the earthquake. That situation hasn't really changed since the earthquake, and much of what has to be done economically is very rudimentary. It's a tough life before the earthquake, and it's equally tough now. The thing that most struck us through the process of being there and looking was the housing and shelter crisis. Because you could say to some extent that there has been important things accomplished in the area of medical care, for example, extremely important, obviously, in those days, weeks, and months following the earthquake. I mentioned that the streets have been largely cleared of rubble. You know, people are back into a street economy and so on. But it's the housing and shelter crisis that seems the most difficult now. Perhaps we could add to that the cholera crisis as well, which is by no means under control. Every building in Port-au-Prince has been identified for its damage. That green symbol you see there, MTPTC, that's the Ministry of Transport and Public Works in Haiti. And in the couple of months after the earthquake, basically every building in the city was identified. Green means that the building is safe to re-inhabit. Yellow means that there's major damage done to the building and repair is required, not safe to live in. And red means the building is damaged beyond repair. It has to be torn down and rebuilt. And so this is throughout the city. The first study to look at what the meaning of all this is, that is how many buildings were damaged and what's happened to them, was called the Building Assessment and Rubble Removal Study. It was commissioned by USAID, and it was conducted in late 2010, early 2011. And so those first set of figures there, that's the surveying work that was done on the buildings in those first couple of months after the earthquake. So that 382,000 figure on the buildings were the number of buildings that the people doing the surveys were able to get out to and examine. And so what they found was that 20% of the buildings in Port-au-Prince are red-coated, damaged beyond repair. They have to be rebuilt and taken down. 26% are yellow-coated, too dangerous to live in and require major repair. And only 54% green-coated. So basically half the buildings in Port-au-Prince are not safe to live in today. We need some more chairs set up, if someone could help with that in the back. And then you see the consequence here at the bottom of what it means. You've got people moving back into the damaged buildings in significant numbers. So by early 2011, about 64% of the red-coated buildings have been re-inhabited, and 85% of the yellow-coated buildings have been re-inhabited. So this is pretty serious stuff. People are moving back into buildings now that are seriously, seriously damaged, far more than was the case before the earthquake. What's going to happen if another earthquake should take place, heaven forbid? That means that the damage from the earthquake, the human damage, will be even more intense should that happen, and let's hope that that's not the case. But this is a comment on the state of reconstruction in Haiti, that Haitians feel obliged to move back into the damaged homes because the pace of building shelter, leave alone long-term stable housing, is not at all what it should be. And people are voting with their feet. Rather than waiting more and more months in the camps, they're moving back into the damaged homes. And you can read the quote there from Kit Miyamoto, sorry, I misspelled his name there by one letter, of what the consequences are of people moving back into the homes and why they're doing so. They're moving because life in the camps is no longer supportable. And so this is a typical home. If you look at the number 46 there, looks like a good home, and it's got a new car parked in front, but then you zoom in on the 46 numbering, the street number, and oh, it's a red-coated building. The coatings are starting to fade. There's no authority to say you can't move back into the red-coated. It's just there to assist people in deciding it. That is, engineers have gone into this house, and they've told the homeowner or the renter, your house is unsafe to live in. It's got a red code. But you know, every homeowner is going to have a story why they've moved back in there into this condition. Because the alternative is this. This is the largest camp in Port-au-Prince. It's Camp Jean-Marie Vincent. There's about 40 or 50,000 people living here. And they've been here for 18 months. They've been waiting already for 18 months for something better than this to happen. Because this and all of the other camps are very difficult places to be living in. It's very hot in Haiti. These roofs you see here, basically these little shelters become ovens during the daytime. And the quality of services for potable water, medical care, school or some other form of taking care of children during the day, bathing, toilets, the facilities are not necessarily there. And there's also a serious, serious problem with safety for women in the camps because there's been significant unfortunately, very significant increases in sexual violence against women happening in and around the camps. And this is the same camp. Very, very tough conditions. So we went in and we met with the camp committee. They were very anxious to take us around. They showed us what's happened to the bathing facilities, for example, in the camp. This is one of the best run camps in Port-au-Prince. It's got the most international resources coming into it. But because the security is not what it needs to be, these shower facilities that were built by World Vision have, they've been, thieves have taken bits of metal and so forth, and the security isn't there to even be able to maintain the showers in good shape for people to be able to use, leave alone the conditions that women are facing. Now, we arrived at the main entrance of the camp unannounced, and we were very heartily welcomed by the camp committee at Camp Jean-Marie Vincent. And we saw all of the security standing around. I thought, wow, looks like they're starting to take seriously now the need for security for the camp residents. These are soldiers and police of the UN mission. But then we found, actually, the reason why they were there in such numbers was there was a visit from the U.S. ambassador that took place. And we were actually right there. I took that photo. That's the U.S. ambassador on the far right of the photo, being led by, oh, what do we have there? We have a Canadian police or military official leading him around. I find it a bit symbolic that the two top people in this tour are rather light-skinned, while the people with the guns and the threatening poses are all of darker skin. It's what you see in the streets of Port-au-Prince. You don't see the white-skinned Canadian police and soldiers patrolling in Port-au-Prince. It looks kind of bad in a country that has had such an honorable and forceful struggle against slavery and colonialism. And I'll talk more about the Minister mission in Haiti later on. So we were a little bit misled there in our thought that we were witnessing some important and significant increase in basic security in the camps. It's not happening, unfortunately. And so we spent a couple of hours in this camp, and we visited a total of 10 camps throughout the earthquake zone to find out from the camp residents themselves what are the issues, what are the concerns that they have, and we found out that they're quite considerable. Of course, this is no mystery. This is being widely reported as well, but it was very important for us to get firsthand that information. It was also frustrating for us because Haitians expect better than this. They know that the world contributed billions of dollars to earthquake aid and relief, and they would have they expect that the world could have acted more quickly and more decisively to address issues around shelter, education, healthcare, the beginnings of creating a new economy, developing the agricultural economy, and so forth. And they're not seeing it happen, and they're getting increasingly angry and impatient with this. And that puts us in a tough position because we weren't there on behalf of the Canadian government. We couldn't make any promises. All we could say is, we're here to find out what's happening so that Canadians can learn what your needs are. And that's what we are doing with the delegation, to communicate with Canadians across all spectrums, including our members of Parliament.